Welcome, Capricorn. It's December 2015. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au. Thanks for joining me. It's the last month of the year, lot going on, and in your horoscope, one of the really nice aspects that we see is this movement of Venus out of your 10th house into the social 11th house, occurring on December 5th. That's really, really nice, and it works well if, you're looking at connecting with people throughout this Christmas period. That's going to offset some of the rather secretive, difficult 12th house transits that you've had. That long-term 2.5-year transit of Saturn, still early days, is in your 12th house. We've seen a very intense conjunction of the Sun moving across that, and previous to that, Mercury, which occurred last month, the last week, the previous week. So we're just starting this month off now. We're looking at some new, fresh aspects, which hopefully are going to turn things around, given that this is a festive month. You still have Mars in the 10th house, a lot of drive and energy going into your professional activities at this time. But this hidden side of your horoscope has to be looked at more carefully, because on the 12th, there is a pretty important new moon taking place in that area. And in some respects, this has you looking back through your past, trying to figure out the events that have happened previously. And this could be rather emotional, especially if you hit on some things that you hadn't planned on. And that's also shown by some of the powerful aspects that are going to take place with Uranus in your 4th house, which is your domestic sphere. On the 2nd, Mercury makes a trine aspect. That's a favourable aspect to it. On the 9th, the Sun makes a fine aspect to it. And then on the 11th, a tough aspect there. This is a Mars opposition Uranus aspect taking place from the career sector. So there could be some obstructions there, some difficulties, and maybe if you're, you could be frustrated in some ways due to your work. This could really flare up at that time, or just leading up to that time. There's also a right angle aspect on the 21st from Mercury to this same planet. So all of those dates that I've just mentioned have some impact from different areas in your life, but all focusing there on your home life, which I might add is a much slower transit. It's usually around a seven-year transit. You're only halfway through that. So what that can do at times, especially when these other quicker moving planets are triggering that energies, is that unexpected and very odd sorts of things can happen in your family life, as well as within yourself, because the 4th house has to do with your inner happiness, your peace. It is an ethical house as well, and we see that that's important to you during this phase because of the conjunction of Jupiter and the North Node in that 9th house of ethics and higher mind and spirituality. Speaking of spirituality, Saturn, Sun, Mercury in that 12th house is also spiritual. The new moon there may trigger some of those elements within your nature, a desire to understand yoga, to meditate, to get in touch with your higher self, and to do some investigations. The 12th house is also immigration, so there could be some desire, but a frustrating constraint placed on you by by Saturn. And Uranus being triggered by these other planets could cause you to be rash, impulsive, and to do things maybe you need to think about a little bit more carefully before you do it. There's the full moon taking place in Cancer, the 7th house of your horoscope, on the 26th. Now that's also very, very important because it has to do with your relationships. The full moon there is nice. Full moon in its own sign of Cancer indicates some nice things happening for you and your partner. Mind you, it is in the opposition house to Pluto. So some of these emotions could be rather intense, and that may be coming from your partner. So don't react if the person you love, or indeed the business partner, because this is partnerships of all sorts, if they place some, I suppose, what you consider unjustified demands on you, you have to play your cards very, very safely there, and understand that because it's the moon and emotions, that perhaps the person's coming from a space of good intention, but you may be misreading those signals. How do we see that? We can see that also by some of the tough aspects there on the 21st, Mercury in square to Uranus. Then we see also the square from Mercury to Mars on the 30th. So that can indicate disputes or a lashing out or a jumping to conclusions, because Mercury is the intellectual planet, Mars is the planet of impulse. It is still in the 10th house, so this may be business partnerships. It may even relate to your employer to some extent. So you have to be careful how you handle these people. You need to use delicate kid gloves. The final transit there that I'm looking at is Venus moving into your 12th house, again bringing with it an interesting energy, because that has to do with your career, Venus ruling your professional life, moving to the 12th house. Some of you may have to travel for your work. There could be conferences overseas that will be on the agenda. But the other thing there is that it's a very sensual position, Venus in the 12th house. So it's quite likely you'll have an amorous time of it, and an opportunity for travelling for the purposes of romance. This could be that weekend away you've been waiting for. Have a great time. I look forward to your company again in 2016. In the meantime, go to astrology.com.au. There's the link. And you can see that we have those 2016 yearly horoscopes up now, along with more detailed information on the month-by-month and day-by-day horoscopes. Look forward to your company again soon. Have a safe, prosperous and happy Christmas. Take care. Bye-bye.